Picture it, Los Angeles, 2024.
Welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you're ever gonna need to listen to. I'm HAlanScott / Sadie Pines.
I'm Kerri Doherty, and today we're doing another Golden Rewind, where we go back and rewatch our favorite episodes of the Golden Girls and offer new insights since we first started breaking down these episodes way back in 2014. And we hope you're ready to talk all about sport, Nookie. Because this week we are talking about season 4, episode 14, Love Me Tender.
Love me tender, love me true.
Tender. Oh,
Is that isn't that an Elvis song? Yes, it is.
probably. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. I know
Yeah.
all about popular music. Before we get into today's episode, today in the GGVIP Club, you're getting another Rusty Anchor Happy Hour episode. But this week, we're actually putting it in the main feed so everyone can hear and get a taste of what we do on the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour. We just
Oh
thought,
my God, teasing. We're giving everything. I love it.
So everybody's going to get the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour this week. And this week, we were kind of inspired by the girls losing their minds over Mr. Burt Reynolds. Because I feel like I've been seeing the Burt Reynolds, like, which one's the slut I am. I've been seeing that, like, all over Golden Girls accounts.
Yeah,
So
same.
I was like, you know what? We're going to talk about our most memorable and perhaps weirdest celebrity encounters out in the wild.
Yeah.
And joining us to do that is also our guest from today's episode, Adam Ramzi.
So Adam had a story. Well, first off, we should say Adam has done the podcast before years ago. Adam and I talked about it, and he was in like the infancy of sort of the podcast, and he was also a baby Golden Girls fan. He wasn't a huge Golden Girls fan then, but he has since become a massive Golden Girls fan, which we will talk about when we chat. But he had a celebrity story that was just so bonkers, so wild. I'm just going to tease a little picture of it if you're watching the video of this. Speaking of, I have something to say about video. We have an announcement to make about video too. But I'm going to give you just a little teaser of what Adam is going to be talking about.
Oh, okay. Should we describe what we just saw? Yes.
So there's a man in a very scary Elmo costume.
Scary or sexy?
Well, no, they're both scary. They're both scary. One, he has his shirt off, and one, he's clothed as Elmo. And I swear this does make sense. This is not a kink thing. This is not a weird thing, but it does make sense.
Kink's not weird. No shame.
Some kink is weird. No shame though. No shame. No shame at all. No shame, but in my opinion. Yeah, so he shares the most insane story on the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour that we had to include. He's our first guest on the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour, which is wild. And yeah, it was fun. But we should say, first off, the news. So the music at the beginning of this episode was new because we're doing a little bit of a refresh on the intro music. We're being a little poppy, a little fun, and also another reason why we changed the intro music is because we have on the Patreon, we release the full video of every episode, of course. And you can go there and watch those. And for the first 5 days after the episode releases, you can watch the video exclusively on Patreon. But on the Mondays following Wednesday's episode, so like our episode drops Wednesday, and then the following Monday, we're going to be releasing the video version of the podcast on our YouTube channel. So you can go to youtube.com/outonthelanai, or however we'll link it in the bio, or in the episode notes. But yes, you can go watch us talk in real time.
And these are just the main feed episodes.
Yes.
The bonus content is still just exclusive to Patreon. So the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour, the full interviews with Golden Girls guest stars, writers, special guests, that's also part of just the GGVIP Club. These are just our regular Wednesday main feed episodes. And we're going to be giving you all the video.
The watch-alongs are also all still exclusively on Patreon.
Yes.
And you'll still get the full video version on Patreon for the first 5 days. So that's also just as exciting. But we thought it would be fun to be on YouTube and stuff. So we're playing by YouTube's rules, which is why you might notice a few audio changes to the podcast in the coming episodes. But it's so exciting. I actually am really excited about that because I feel like for years people have only heard our voices. When I was at Golden Con that first time, people would recognize me by my voice, but a lot of people didn't know what I looked like. And so it's kind of nice to be able to have people see us. And I think a lot of people watch podcasts on YouTube. I mean, do you?
This is what Stan was just telling me today. I didn't know
Yeah.
this was a thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, at Golden Con, I literally wore a shirt with our logo on it because I was like, that's the only way I'm going to get recognized.
I was pretty recognizable, I will say.
Yeah, Sadie is a presence.
Yes.
And so for
Yeah.
me to make any kind of presence next to Sadie Pines, I have
Yes.
to be loud with logos.
Yeah.
So,
But it's really exciting to me. But there is
Yeah.
now for this episode, it is kind of a bummer to have the first YouTube episode we have you not be in most of the episode because you weren't able to join my chat with Adam today. Why weren't you able to join Kerri?
So we usually record these at night, but today happened to be a day where we were going to be recording in the afternoon, and I was all ready to do it. And then Stan booked a thing and had to go to a fitting, and I had to be there with little baby Oreo. And Stan was going, well, can't you just, and I was like, no. And Stan's like, well, couldn't you? And I said, no. I said, there is no way I can record this video with a 2.5-year-old running around in the background doing all the bits that he's been teaching her lately. She does this really funny bit where she stomps her feet and then goes, uh-oh, I stepped in poop. And it is very, very funny. But I was
Actually,
like, we can't.
I kind of wish you would have recorded earlier because I want to see her go, uh-oh, I stepped in poop.
I just worry if I have my child on this podcast, I'm like, is that child abuse? I truly do not know.
I don't think it's child abuse, but I don't think you should know. No children on the podcast. Sorry, everybody. But
when it's like an NC-17. So yes.
Oh yeah. Also, because okay.
For the majority of this podcast, you're right. I'm not here for it because you and Adam Ramzi had a conversation about the Golden Girls. And you know me, I had all my notes. I did want to talk. I just wanted to mention a few things about Love Me Tender.
Well, before you do that, can I just say the reason why Adam and I agreed on this episode is because we know in the episode, Eddie, I don't think we talked, maybe we did in the original viewing of this episode, but did you know Eddie, the actor plays Eddie, John Fielder, he's the voice of Piglet. Which is kind of crazy that he's a sex machine and he's the voice of Piglet.
I know. I had that in my notes. I was like, I can't remember if we talked about it, but I didn't remember it.
I mean, Adam and I talked about it. But also, one of the reasons why we wanted to do this is because Adam, as you may or may not know, works in the adult entertainment industry. He's very popular there. And I work with him a lot in Los Angeles at various parties and late night stuff. And like this party I do called Hot Dog on Sundays sometimes. So he's a very good friend of mine. And I just thought it would be fun to have an episode about a sex monster with someone very much well known for being not a sex monster, but, for being sexy. So Adam, that's why Adam is on the podcast today.
That it really is the perfect episode. And this is going to be the first time I'm going to listen to this podcast and be excited because I wasn't there for the conversation. So I get to listen as a fan, which I'm really excited about. I know. I hope you did well without me. Did you have lots of notes?
I did have lots of
How
notes,
many tangents did we go?
There were lots of tangents. It's not the same without you, though. I will say that. I mean, it's a fantastic episode, and the chat with Adam is fantastic. There were a few like audio glitches here and there, but besides that, it was fantastic. But you, of course, would have made it immensely more put together and prepared and better.
Well, I do think this was the perfect episode to have with Adam.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny that the Piglet thing, when you watch the episode and you listen to it, you're like, oh yeah, I can hear Piglet. I can hear a little bit of Winnie the Pooh, even though I guess he was only the voice of Piglet. But that was really funny. I also, just about Eddie in general, when we meet him, the women are all like, oh.
Yeah. He's not that unattractive.
No, that's what I mean. Like, he's a little bit shorter than B. Arthur, but when I look at some of the other men that the women have dated on the show, I'm like, okay, Mr. Terrific. Is he any less good looking than Mr. Terrific?
I don't know. Mr. Terrific
or Elliot Clayton. You know what I mean? Like not Clayton Elliott Clayton, I think was his name. Like
Well,
Laz. I'm just like
even Stan. I mean, Laszlo. Yeah, Laszlo. Come on, guys.
think about all the episodes where they have like a date for the banquet
Oh,
who maybe has
wait.
a line.
Oh my God. Who
What?
is Blanche's man that she sleeps with often? Fleischman.
Mel Bushman.
Mel Bushman.
Zipper
Okay.
King.
There's a moment during Adam and I's chat where neither of us can remember. And you guys know, and I get this. I see the comments. I see what you say about me. I am horrible at remembering names and little things like that. I'm horrible at it. And apparently so is Adam. And so Adam and I both struggle to say and to find Mel Bushman. So during that part of the podcast, please be
Everyone's
aware.
gonna be screaming
And I said
at you.
that. I said that. Everyone's screaming. I could hear you guys through the internet just screaming at me. So please have pity because I'm just a lonely little person.
I'm sure you're just doing your best. You're
I'm
just doing your best out there.
I was alone. I was just with Adam and I just felt so insecure.
I know. You didn't have my notes or my references. Why am I talking like Jodie Foster? I don't know.
Oh, I just interviewed her.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought she was so good in True Detective Night Country.
I know. Well, you should listen to our chat. We talked about all that.
I should have played a drinking game every time she said her partner's name. Navarro. Yeah. Every time she said that woman's name.
You'd have been blackout drunk and you have a child. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, but I'm going to do it supervised. So, okay. A couple of things I wanted to talk about is when Sophia says you don't need sport nookie.
Now, Adam and I, we talk about sport nookie a lot. A lot. Yeah, Adam is particularly obsessed with the term sport nookie, and he has stories about sport nookie.
Well, I don't have any stories about sport nookie. My question was, I didn't know that the word nookie was slang for sex until Limp Bizkit.
Oh, I did it all for the nookie.
Come on.
Is that the phrase?
So you can take that cookie and stick it up your
Is the cookie
yeah.
Is the cookie the lady business?
Maybe. But anyway, he did it all for the nookie. I didn't know that nookie predated Limp Bizkit. And then I felt kind of stupid.
I feel like no, because we've talked about it on the podcast before, because there's another episode where I think Dorothy says nookie. Recently we've talked about recently we've talked about this. Someone says nookie. I know we have. Listeners, please help me in this. Okay. I know we have. Wherever you're watching or listening to this, leave it in the comments.
Okay. So another question. I don't know if you and Adam spoke about this, but with Eddie's like literal pheromones that make women attracted to him. It's such a fun twist at the end of the episode. Are there any ethics around the fact that he doesn't disclose this when he starts dating women? Because it's like kind of, like hypnotizing. No, okay.
Because that would I feel like that would just come off as arrogant. He would never be able to be with a person ever, because it's sort of like someone walking in being like, I got a big ol', you know what I mean? Like even if they actually do have a big ol', it's like you kind of want. You want that to be a gentler conversation, a third date conversation, not a first date conversation.
Okay.
But in Eddie's case, he can't help it. So after the first date, they're slobbering for him.
They are slobbering for him. That's a really good way of putting it. Okay. I want to move on to the B story with the two teen girls. One note I had is I was wondering if the Be a Pal program was like the same program that maybe like that's how Blanche got set up with Meryl. Maybe it was through like a prisoner Be a Pal pen pal program.
Interesting. Possibly.
Did you also know, I'm literally just going through my notes. Did you also know that the girls' names Marla and Jackie, do you know where those come from?
Marla Gibbs and Jackée Harry?
Yeah, and Jackée. Yeah. Because Tracy Gamble and
227.
Yes, they worked on 227.
Oh,
very good. Oh,
Mary.
Did you guys notice what the mannequins looked like in the department store in that really shitty department store set? No. It looked like someone threw it together at the last minute. It was like mannequin torsos on like boxes or crates. It looked like It looked like set deck at the last minute was like, oh shit, this is supposed to be a department store. We don't have any mannequins.
I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, but speaking of Jodie Foster, I feel like in Silence of the Lambs, when they go into Hannibal, is it Hannibal Lecter? What's the guy's name? No, Kill Bill, something Bill, something whatever his name is.
You got it. Come on, you got it.
Bill Pullman.
Not Kill
I
Bill.
don't know.
No, it's something Bill.
Kill Bill.
It's what's the name of
Bill.
What's the name of the NFL?
Oh, NFL. I hate this game. What is his name?
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill. You brought up NFL, and I knew immediately I was going to lose this game.
I know.
No, but Buffalo Bill. When they go into Buffalo Bill's house, I think he has mannequins that are kind of like that, where it's just like the torso, just sort of hanging out on a shelf or something.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just curious if those have ever stuck out to anybody else. So Jackie and Marla, right? Jackie. I'm pretty sure Jackie follows me on Twitter, and I love that
because
I started following
I think she
her.
blocked me.
Uh-oh. What did you do to Jackie?
I don't know. I feel like I noticed that one time. Maybe I'm going to look her up. You talk. I'll find out.
Okay, you talk. Well, but you have to also look and pay attention because I do have a question.
Yeah.
So the girls, I'm just trying to figure out what the girls' end game was.
But she doesn't follow me. She does not follow me.
Okay. So Marla and Jackie have shoplifted.
Yes.
Right? They give Rose and Blanche the bag, so when the women walk out, the alarms are tripped. Like, was the girls' end game just to play a mean prank? It's not. It's not like they were trying to get away with stolen goods because they knew that the alarm was going to trip, right?
Well, maybe. I mean, okay. So, benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're smarter than that, and they just had them hold the bag, thinking that they wouldn't actually walk out of the store. They would just stay in the main shopping area until the girls come back and do the thing that they do in order to walk out the store. I don't know what it is.
No, but they said, like, we're going to go out and be by the fountain, or we're going to go throw pennies in the fountain. Can you hold our bags?
Yeah, hold the bags. So they maybe thought that they would stay in the store.
Oh.
You know?
I was like, well, maybe they gave, it's just because they never say.
But also, how did they get the bag if they didn't buy anything?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they because I used to work at Filene's, bird of a brag, and in a department store, and we would just have those bags by the register, so they could have like snuck over and grabbed one. I also wonder if like security saw older women leaving and the alarm went off, they were probably like, oh, those poor little old ladies, they just forgot to take the tags off. They
well, clearly
shoplift.
not, because they spent a night in jail.
I know, in the slammer.
Oh, I was actually more concerned with that whole situation of Blanche and the whole writing them a check, and her because she had a court date set for the slammer night, and now she's potentially having a bad check writing charge against her too. I'm very concerned for Blanche.
Oh, that's so funny. I like that that's how you looked at it. I mostly just looked at it like, I love that these women don't take shit from like shitty little kids. Like, fuck Daisy, fuck Marla and Jackie. Well, they're like, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I love that they never let little shits get the best of them. Little Oreo's never gonna grow up and be a little shit.
I told Adam this. There is nothing more terrifying than a teenager with confidence. There really isn't. And it is, I mean, when teenagers have personalities and that they're strong personalities, oh no, that's scary. Watch out. They got something planned.
Well, that's how you get rambunctious, loud theater kids in your face, like Stan and I in high school.
And me.
And you. Yeah.
I mean, I would have been a child to watch out for. Let's be real.
Yeah. Those were all my thoughts.
Well, wonderful. I love that. Well, you were very much missed during the conversation, but Adam and I had a fantastic conversation. We had a cute little golden takeaway, and we'll be back at the end of the episode to do our traditional sign off. But hopefully you guys will love our chat. And again, you can go on Patreon right now and watch us talk about this, or you can wait until Monday and watch us on YouTube.
And our Patreon is patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast. Check it out. We have so much great stuff.
Yeah. Fun times. Let's get to it. It is So lovely to be joined by I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. My most beautiful friend,
Oh
Adam Ramzi.
God, get out of
I
here.
think you are my most attractive friend.
That is, I don't know if I believe it, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to say thank you very much. It's an honor to be called such a thing.
Just own it, baby. Just
I'm
own
owning
it.
it.
No, I
I'm
mean,
owning it. Thank you.
so
Hi.
hi. So
Hello.
you of course you were previously on the podcast years ago, and
I
then
was.
you texted me recently and you were like, I need to come back. I need to make up for that episode because I'm a bigger fan of the Golden Girls. Explain this renaissance that you're having, that you
Okay, you
had.
got it. I come to you a renewed Adam Ramsey, a reborn. I now am not only a podcaster but a huge Golden Girls fan. I think the last time you had me on, you just had me on as your friend, who you were like, you know what, it would be fun
Yeah.
to have you on. Well, let's watch this episode. I think this
Yeah.
was back in the days when we would actually sit somewhere and watch it on what is called a DVD.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody remembers those.
Crazy.
Crazy. I know. And at that point, my relationship with Golden Girls was kind of tenuous. It was like something I remember my aunts watching when I was little. Do you know what I mean? I never really got into it the way any self-respecting gay man probably should have. But then with the advent of streaming and Hulu, I went through a binge as soon as it was added to the streaming option on Hulu. And then in this past month or two, I don't know. I've been having this weird, like, I have just a lot of free time. I have a lot of at-home time. A lot of my work is at home. So I go on these weird binges lately of like things I've already watched. And I did a Golden Girls one that was like where I did kind of almost the entire series like 2 or 3 times in a row. I just couldn't go to sleep without watching like 6 episodes. It was just really weird.
Welcome
to
all of our lives. Everyone who literally everyone who listens to this podcast is like, yeah, thanks for catching up to us, Adam. Like we've been doing that for years.
Yeah, I'm here now. I feel like I actually belong on this show, whereas before I was just kind of a visitor, a guest. I feel like now I know what I'm talking about. I watch the show. I'm invested in these people. Yeah.
I know, and I love it. I love it so much. I mean, and also I have to say, first off, I mean, you and I have been friends for many years, and like we go way back. And that's what I love about you so much is that it's just the ever evolving friendship. But we also sometimes I work at the party that you co-host called Hot Dog here in Los Angeles, and you sent me a picture. You sent me a picture of. Now at the party, so the drag queen. Now I'm gonna post this for everyone so they can see it in the video. But at the party, when people come in, there's a drag queen working the doors, usually me, or it's sometimes me, and the people coming in have to choose a certain color cup, which corresponds to something they enjoy in the bedroom, if you will, right?
Yep.
And you sent me a picture. Now I'm surprised that now Mario Diaz also co-hosts this party. Great longtime friend and Golden Girls fan too. And I've never had. Now this one was the Golden Girls lineup of options for the people to choose from. Dorothy is the top, Rose is the bottom, Blanche is verse. That's so true. And Sophia is a side, which means explain side to the listeners.
Yes, so this was a recent one because when we first started doing Hot Dog, we had kind of like this makeshift sign for the cup codes. And by the way, the cup code is totally silly. Like it's not meant to be taken seriously at all.
I take it very seriously as a person who works the door. I take it very seriously, and everyone must confess to me.
Yes, yeah. We retired the early Golden Girls sign, and then had them like they were like little cat signals, like signs. But we went back to the Golden Girls. The black cup used to be like "Don't touch me." But we decided to skip it and make it instead of, because like Sophia's not a don't touch me. Sophia's a horny gal too, like all 4 of them. But side essentially is like a new thing. I feel like Gen Zers have kind of come up with side. It's essentially a preference in the bedroom that is anything but penetration. which is, a viable way to have fun with a sexy friend.
I feel like that's how most people have fun. You know what I mean?
A lot of people.
Like a lot of times, I don't got time for the penetration. You know what I mean? I got things to do in the morning. I'm a busy girl, so like sometimes a little suck and go is good to. Well, we're getting too personal here. But I do love that there's the Golden Girl sign is back. So when I am back doing the door, when I come back, that Golden Girl sign better be there. It
will be there. We need to take a picture of you with it. Like, it makes total sense. It's got to be on the Out on the Lanai Instagram page. Do you guys have an Instagram page?
Everything.
Okay, good.
Yes, of course we do. Yes, we do. Yes, perfect. Yes, good. Of course. So, okay, what I think now, when we were choosing the episode to watch for this one, Kerri and I talked about it in the intro to this episode, but I thought this was a perfect episode because you are a person who works in the sex worker industry, and this episode doesn't deal with sex workers, but it does deal with all of the women being very, very horny.
Very horny. It's a very horny episode.
Mostly Doherty, but in the end, it's a very horny episode. And as I said at the beginning, you are my most attractive friend. So if we're gonna watch a horny episode, it's going to be this episode with you. I think it felt appropriate, right?
Totally. I love this episode. I think it's a good season 4. It's a good midway through the show. I feel like it's like a very slight episode. I don't think there's like very high stakes in this one. You know what I mean?
No, it's not one of those episodes that, and Kerri and I talk about this a lot. It's not one of those episodes that you're like, oh, that episode. But it is one of those episodes where you're like, don't you remember that episode? That's so fun.
And you know what's funny? Even rewatching it, there were like so many things about it that I was like, oh, that's in this episode. Like, the B plot with the two young girls and them getting, being their patsies for stealing merchandise from Macy's or wherever they are. And also the random in this week's Saint Olaf story, we talk about the herring juggling. And I was like, that's in this episode too, because that's one of the best ones, the little tiny Ginsu knives.
I know. I can't. Well, let's get into the episode because I feel like it's time. So so how it starts is Doherty is waiting for the date that Sophia set up for her, but we learn in the process of this that Sophia doesn't know the person. She just saw, literally, Sophia just saw an ad on a bus, called the ad, and sent in fake pictures of Janet Gaynor as Doherty to set up this date. I kind of feel like Sophia was doing the original sort of like Grindr trick. You know what I mean? Where she's
catfishing. It's like a true catfish story, to be honest.
It really is.
Yeah.
Do you think if you were in Dorothy's situation in this moment, would you still go out on the date, or would you be like, no, not doing it?
First of all, I think what Sophia did is horrible, and I think it wouldn't fly today. So I feel like she had every right to be furious with Ma. But I think I would do exactly what Doherty did, especially considering, can we just mention one of the finest ensembles that Doherty has ever worn is in the beginning of this episode. She's wearing.
I was just about to get to that. Yes, please go ahead.
It's like this purple crushed velvet, like huge. It's huge. It's shiny. It's beautiful. The shoulder pads are out to here, and I don't know if you noticed, but she's wearing these like really chunky white boots with them.
You think I didn't notice that? You think the drag queen on the podcast didn't notice the white chunky saggy boots?
Fair enough.
Of course I noticed it, and
My
I immediately
deepest apologies.
Googled white saggy boots.
Yeah.
No, it's a fantastic outfit. It's such a, I mean, one of the things, and I don't know if you know this about B. Arthur, but one of the things about B. Arthur is that she often would wear these outfits, like in like there are outfits she wore on the Golden Girls that she also wore in like TV movies that she starred in. Like she just borrowed wardrobe from the Golden Girls for other things. And I have a feeling, and I couldn't find it. I was trying to find the other moment, but I have a feeling we've seen this outfit somewhere else in B. Arthur's career, and I can't figure out where, but I'm going to find it. If anyone listening knows, please leave it in the comments and let us know.
Yes. I mean, it's so quintessential. It's like, so that's why, like, if I'm going to be wearing that outfit, even though this blind date could go any which way, I'm going to at least open the door to the gentleman and see what he has to say.
You're a dater like me in that, like, I will, I mean, I'm not going on dates anymore, but like when I was going on dates, I would easily go on dates just for the story. I would do anything for a story. You know what I mean?
sure.
Like, even good, bad, doesn't matter. The sex is going to be weird. I'm going to get a great joke out of it probably. So let's go on this date. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everything's a story.
Yeah. Well, and then also with when Eddie eventually right before Eddie shows up, Blanche tries to help Dorothy's have sort of like a seductive pose, you know, like where she's like leaning back and the hand. What is your, since we're on video, what is your, now people listening, you're gonna have to go to the Patreon or something to watch this video, but we'll probably post this as a clip. What is your seductive face? Like, what do you do to in your videos?
Oh my. I don't know if I really, this is actually something I've thought about just a little bit, because, you know, for the hot dog party, a lot of times I'm the face of it and Mario's kind of the one behind the scenes. So he has me dress up for the photos. And it's always I have to really think about when he's like, now give me like fuck me eyes on the camera. So I have to really decide, is it head back or is it head forward? You have to really think about how these eyes work out. Well, see, he does too, but I always worry that just makes me look super sinister. I have for those who are listening and not watching, I was blessed / cursed with these eyebrow arches that they're natural, by the way. Somebody last week didn't believe me when I told them that. But they are a little, I do have kind of a villainous face. People think I'm angry a lot.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with a little villainous in the bedroom. You know what I mean? Like
that's true.
I feel
and
like
I do work that.
I feel like that. Yes, you do. My seductive face, I feel like, because I'm not villainous, I'm not threatening, I'm not scary, I'm not
no,
like
you're a cherubic little angel is what you are.
I am. So I have to do this little thing where I play up on my happy side, but then I also am just sort of like happy but naughty. So my face would be like this.
Oh,
you know,
God.
Just you can't. I don't.
Stirred something in me. That's good. That's real good.
I thought so. Yeah. I mean, anyone watching, I basically did like a little subtle turn and then just sort of lifted my eyebrows a little bit. That's all I can do. I can't like I'll do sexy lips right now.
No, that's not it.
It looks like I'm suffering from. Yeah, that's not it. That's not it.
I like the eyebrow raise and the smirk, the little cheeky smirk.
The smirk is good. The cheeky smirk is like, I'll take a picture probably. Like that's the cheeky smirk is saying I'll do things that I probably won't talk about. Well, but I will tell everyone about later. But like right now, I'm gonna act like I'm coy and can't. That's me.
It's good.
I'm Rose. I'm definitely Rose in the bedroom, and I kill every man I sleep with. But okay, so Eddie shows over, and Eddie comes over, and he is not what Dorothy was expecting at all. He is this tiny little man. Now I have to say, and this blew my mind because I did not know this in the original watch of this, and when I was doing the research on this actor. So this actor, his name is John Fielder. And he, I hope I'm saying that right, Fielder. And he was in a lot of classic movies like The Odd Couple, 12 Angry Men, and True Grit. But do you know what he is most famous for? The part he is known for, basically for years. He is the voice of Piglet in Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I would never have clocked that.
The man whose pheromones make women drop their panties is the voice of Piglet in Winnie the Pooh. Which I wonder why Winnie the Pooh isn't wearing pants.
It's really fun. I love that because I mean we've seen the women get horny for the same man before, and they're usually like very cultured and tall and like broad shouldered. So I love that they kind of took this joke literally to the end of the episode where he's just this like little tiny man with a bald head and his Piglet voice.
There's nothing wrong with a little tiny man. You know what I mean? Like I love tiny men. I think tiny men are like, because they're like little dreidels. You can just sort of spin them around, you know?
Yes, exactly. Especially when they smell real good.
So, well, he got that pheromone. So Eddie comes in hard in a not fun way because he's depressing. He's thinking about his ex-wife Roberta. He has all these problems, and he even says to Dorothy, which is one of my favorite lines in this episode, well, guess I gotta feed you. And it's like, or I have to feed you, which is like, I mean, on one hand, insulting, but on another hand, kind of hot, because I would actually kind of like if someone was like, I guess I gotta feed you, which like, yeah, feed me up, baby, feed me up.
Are you into feeder gainer stuff?
No,
Have you heard
I'm not
about
at
this?
all. Not at all. Yes, I have. I don't want to go into it, but
yeah.
I there is something about him just sort of being like, well, I guess I gotta do this. Which, I mean, what was your first impression of Eddie? Would you?
Would I know? But I was along for the ride, certainly, because I totally see what you're saying. I guess I have to feed you is so it's there's something so like whatever, and like women like that, men like that. We like a little bit of nonchalant,
Everyone
casual. Yeah, like there is something about obviously like you don't want I feel like it's like a bait and switch a little bit, like him being this depressing man, because clearly, because we've been around people who are mopey and like not fun to be around. Clearly, there's something more to it. She went to lunch with him the next day, and then because I feel like it didn't become sexual until after that. I'm giving spoilers. I'm sorry. You're still describing the episode. I apologize.
Oh. No, please. No, I mean, trust me, everyone listening to this podcast has already seen this episode. There's no way we can spoil anything on this podcast.
Yeah.
But so besides this happening, we also learned that Blanche and Rose are Rose is going to be participating in the Be a Pal program, which is sort of like a big brother, big sister situation. And Blanche wants to be a part of it. Now, I think community service is wonderful, but I hate doing it. What's your stance?
Oh, community service could mean so many different things. I like the idea of being a mentor for young, impressionable minds.
Yeah,
and especially if they tell me I'm beautiful, like she
I don't
did
think you should
Blanche.
do the mentor. I don't think you should do the mentor program either.
No problem.
I think you are.
Okay,
I mean, I think we know. I think we know pretty much that you are a Blanche, and that maybe
Sometimes.
the mentor program is not for you.
I think I have been all four of them at different times, depending on whom. By the way, can I just as like a quick aside, can I just say that I have this like big theory about pop culture foursomes. I think that if you think about pop culture foursomes, they all fit into very specific archetypes. And you can do you could probably do a spreadsheet of all of them where they all kind of fit into very similar archetypes. I feel that in our friend groups, when we are a group of four, you can fit into any of the roles depending on what the other three are. And if you replace one of them with someone else, your role will change. Like I had this like huge discussion about it. I want to do like a lecture about it or write an article or something, because I feel like there's really something to this.
Do it.
If it was you, me, and two of our friends, I might be the Blanche. But if you get someone with more Blanche energy and replace another one of the two with that person, I might be more of the Rose. It's just really energy and groups of four.
All about energy shifts. Exactly. It's all about sort of the group you're in. That's very true, and that's very astute. You're right. Like there is something, because I am often, I mean, I would say I'm often probably the Blanche too, even though I don't think people see it coming.
I can see that.
Which is kind of like always a fun, I mean, you know that about me, but like it's like I feel like most people who just sort of know me on a very ancillary level, they don't know that I'm necessarily Blanche. Now in drag, I am fully a Blanche. Like there is no way I'm Blanche in a Rose fashion outfit sort of thing, because I always look sort of like cute and nice and everything, but then you know me at parties, I definitely become very naughty. So
you're like, a Blanche sun with a Rose rising.
Yes, exactly.
We should try Golden Girls horoscopes.
Oh, that would be so fun.
Wouldn't that be funny?
I'm sure someone's already.
I
feel like someone probably has
to
to have
there.
done that. But yes, we have to do. It's got to be out there. Well, so the next day we learn that Dorothy didn't come home last night because she spent the night with Eddie. Oh my God,
scandalous!
And it is very scandalous, and we do have a little bit of a clip here, or a little clip I want to play real quick of Dorothy talking with Sophia about this date with Eddie.
What? Listen, pussycat, it's been a long time since you've been out on a date. And it's quite possible you can no longer judge a good one from a bad one. So let me be of help. Bad date, Dorothy. Bad date.
Are you surprised that Sophia doesn't support Dorothy having this sort of like thing with Eddie?
Well, I was a little bit. But then she kind of reveals a little bit later that there's more to the story of why she's disapproving. But I don't know. I think that, sometimes with these, in 24 minutes, you've got to like wrap up a story in a neat bow. She also, I have to say, Sophia says one of my favorite phrases ever, and I'm going to start using it from now on. Sport nookie.
What is it?
Sport nookie. She's like, she's like, I don't think sport nookie is right for Dorothy, and I don't agree with that. I think we all deserve some sport nookie once in a while.
I do too. I firmly believe that. I think it's important to have, and also we learned this later on, but like Dorothy. Well, I'll wait to bring this up actually. But I think you're exactly right. I think that's exactly how it goes. So then, as you referenced before, we do have Rose's iconic St. Olaf story where she talks about the opposites attracting in this weird St. Olaf thing, and the list just goes on and on and on. Now, as someone who has recently did the deep dive into the Golden Girls and then did the deep dive again and again and again, where do you enjoy a St. Olaf story? Because there's two camps of people. There's the people who kind of are like, okay, a St. Olaf story. And then there's the people who are like, ooh, a St. Olaf story. I love those. Where do you fly?
I think sometimes they can be a little much. But more than anything, the takeaway that I get from the St. Olaf stories is, goddamn, Betty White is so talented. She had to remember that shit every episode. Like that's kind of how I watched the St. Olaf stories. I would just think to myself, Betty White is so goddamn good, so funny,
so good.
Like delivers them in earnest.
That's it.
That's
a great way of looking at it. I think for everyone who doesn't get into the St. Olaf stories, which I think there's a lot of us, because I know Kerri enjoys them. I'm not necessarily one that enjoys them all the time, but you are right that it is sort of a testament to Betty White's acting that she was able to sort of make those sort of what they were, Which, like it's kind of incredible.
And my favorite thing about the St. Olaf stories, the St. Olaf stories, I think is the way there's a formula to a lot of them, and I love the undercut joke at the end where it's just like there's always like this very unexpected finale to how she delivers a St. Olaf story. So I do love those, even though sometimes I'm kind of like, all right, let's wrap this up, ladies.
I know. Well, and I feel like we all get into the situation of being either Blanche or Dorothy at the table being like, is there a point? What's the point?
That's one of my favorite things too.
We're all hitting her on the head with the newspaper.
Like I love the what's the point bursts.
Yeah.
That's
I know the screaming.
That's so good.
Get out! Yeah, I love it. It. Well, so the next day, Dorothy comes home and she wants to talk to Blanche, but Rose is hurt that she doesn't want to confide in her in this moment because she reveals that she reveals that that Eddie is an incredible lover. And we actually have a clip too of this moment between Dorothy and Rose.
Honey, there is more to Eddie than meets the eye. But the only thing we have in common is under the sheets.
What's under the sheets?
His cappuccino maker. Sex, Rose. I am talking sex. We don't go to dinner. We don't go to the movies. We just go to bed, and it is terrific.
All that and cappuccino, too?
I mean, so this gets us to the point where we were talking about Sport Nookie a little bit. And I love that Dorothy's relationship with Eddie is just sexual. I think I think that's actually, if you can do it and it's based in consent and respect and all of those things, and you're not hurting anyone else, I think that it's actually a healthy thing for people to do, you know?
I have some friendships where that is the only thing we do. We don't get lunch, we don't get coffee. We see each other like once, twice a year. We come over, we do the nookie, we have some catch-up pillow talk, and we say thank you so much. Great seeing you. See you next time, whenever that may be.
And that's
it's super healthy.
And that's so nice. Who wants to talk so much? You know what I mean? Like if I want to talk, I text you. You know what I mean? Like I don't need
exactly. We have different friendships for different things.
Yes, totally.
I'm a big fan of Sport Nookie, and I think I actually think that it's really like, in a weird way, ahead of its time to have an episode like this about women in their 60s.
Yeah.
Even finding a Sport Nookie friendship. Why not?
Well, and I also love that it's Dorothy having the Sport Nookie sex relationship, because like we would expect Blanche to have it. We would maybe expect Rose to kind of have it in a weird way, but Dorothy's not the one you would expect to have it. And her having it, I think, says a lot about sort of like, you know, the healthiness of it. It's that like if the level-headed person character is able to get into the Sport Nookie, well then it must mean that there's something there, you know?
Yeah. And I have more to say about it, but I'll wait till we round out the episode. Because I know we're still getting through the plot a little bit.
So yes, so so Blanche, now earlier on in this scene, Blanche and Rose meet their little pals. It's Jackie and Marla. Now Jackie was played by Stephanie Rydell and Marla was played by Shanna Washington. And the girls seem nice, but I don't know. I've always said never trust groups of teenagers. They are suspicious and they are up to no good. And so whenever I'm always very suspicious of teenagers. I think they can be very evil. Did you suspect anything evil in these? Yes. I think teenagers are evil. Did you suspect anything evil?
I don't know that I remember suspecting anything evil out the gate. It was when they were extra complimentary. That like, it was when they got to the department store where I was like, something is wrong here. They're being way too.
Well,
yeah.
Well, let's on that note, let's take a little break and we'll come right back because we're gonna find out. And we are back. So Dorothy is going on another date with Eddie, and she comes out and she's all like, "How do I look?" I mean, the idea what Dorothy wears on a date sometimes is like, girl, are you going apple picking? What's happening here? I did not enjoy this date look at all on Dorothy.
Wait,
did you?
Actually, I don't remember this one. I don't think I paid attention.
Yeah, exactly. It was sort of like a white, not turtleneck, but it was like a high collar, and there was like a maroon sort of red. There was a vest, I believe, involved as well, and it just was very fall colors, and I was just like, that's a lot of layers to take off if you're just having Sport Nookie. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot, like you need easy access here, girl.
She loves her layers. What can I say? I don't know. I didn't notice. I didn't notice that outfit because I guess I was still in the afterglow of that purple crushed velvet.
I know that.
Can't get it out of my head.
That one's easy access. That's the one where you just take off. You just take off over the top and you move on. I mean,
there you go.
Yeah. So she leaves on this date with Eddie, and you know, she's already told Rose about Eddie and being a sex monster and how the relationship is just sex. And Blanche is sitting there being like, "There's something rotten in the state of Denmark, or Kingdom of Denmark," which is a line from Hamlet, Shakespeare's Hamlet. And Rose reveals that she knows something here. She knows that, you know, that there's something going on. I'm sorry, Dorothy hasn't left here. She's in the kitchen right now getting something to eat because she's about to go on the date with Eddie. Anyway, Blanche then storms in because she gets it out of Rose that Eddie is a love machine. She runs into the kitchen being to love machine, which I hope someone says that about me someday. I really do.
How have they not? I don't understand.
I mean, I mean, I could see them not wanting to. I actually but Dorothy gets angry because Sophia's really bothered by this, that the relationship is just based on sex. Do you think Sophia is in the right frame of mind for being angry at Dorothy about this?
No, I think this was a particularly grumpy Sophia episode, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I
agree.
I still think, I think this is where she says the sport nookie line, where she she says that she's very against it. And as you mentioned earlier, Blanche has lots of sport nookie. Like Blanche, that's her thing. She's constantly having sport nookie. And she even has, if you don't mind my saying so, she has a sport nookie relationship with somebody. What was his name? She always says his name. I forgot his name.
Not Lester. I always forget his name because it's like a Jewish name, and I always should remember it, but I don't. But yeah, everyone knows who the name is, and they're screaming right now. They're screaming the name right now.
Yeah, so the one saying he says something awaits. Something awaits.
Yes.
That guy.
Yes. But like continue with your thought, and I'll find the name.
Yeah. So it's something like that. And so, the whole point, like, I guess if Sophia is constantly talking and making fun of Dorothy for like never getting dates, never getting laid, whatever she keeps busting her chops for, why are we being so grumpy about her having some fun? A woman has needs.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. It's wild to me that that she is this angry in this episode just because I'm just like, Dorothy's out of the house. She's having fun. She's doing something. She's doing more than you wanted her to do this. Like, I don't think Sophia necessarily wanted her to fall in love. She wanted her to get out of the house and have a good date and stuff. And frankly, she's out having a good time.
So here's my question about this, and tell me what you think. And we're skipping like a tiny bit ahead too. I think maybe they're looking at all of this in the context, and we forget this, the context of what the main goal of a woman's life is in the 80s, which is to land a man for good. So I wonder if that's why maybe Sophia was like, no, this is not good. You need to end it, because ultimately what you really want is a husband. So if you're busy once a week, once a month getting sport nookie, it's going to distract you from the main goal, which is marriage. So maybe that's why.
I hear that. I totally hear that. But at the same time, I also think that Sophia, on some level, doesn't want Dorothy to get married again because it would sort of like ruin the good things she has going. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't. I feel like she would actually be maybe a little worrisome if Dorothy got married. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, so it's an interesting storyline. We learn later how much of a guilt trip that Sophia can actually push onto Dorothy. But before we get to that, we need to go to the mall, because
let's go to the
Blanche
mall.
has a more European body. And
oh my God, one of my favorite lines. One of my favorite lines.
Do they have big butts there too?
In Europe, they all have big butts too? So mean. I love when Rose is mean.
That's just it. That's just it. She knows, and I feel like she knows she's being mean here. You know what I mean? I feel like she knows, and I secretly think that Rose knows more about things than I've been talking about this a lot on the podcast recently. Rose knows more about things than we give her credit for, and I think here she's being a little bit of like a sassy lady, and she's playing it off, being like, "But I'm cute."
Yeah. That I love when she does that. Those moments of Rose are some of my favorites.
Well, we learn in this. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, the moments, like, there's even a moment in this one where she like gets impatient with something. I think when when Dorothy is talking about all the times that she's been, ditched on a date, and she's like, just fast forward, we'll be here forever. Like, I love when we get these like surprising moments of Rose not being Rose. So gratifying. Every time.
I know. There's some of my favorite moments. But in this scene, this is when the girls do the one over on Blanche and Rose, and they give them the bags to hold, and then of course there's stolen merchandise in the bags. Now, my favorite payoff for this moment is A, that I called it and the girls are evil, but also B, the next day, the next morning, we just cut to the kitchen where Dorothy's just in the kitchen, and Rose and Blanche come in looking all haggard because they spent the night in jail, which what I love about the writing of this scene is we learn so many things about so many different relationships and stories happening in this episode from this moment. We learn that Rose and Blanche are stuck in this jail all night long because they couldn't get a hold of Dorothy because Dorothy was out with Eddie all night. And the reason why Sophia didn't pick up is because she was trying to get back at Dorothy and have a guilt trip on Dorothy. So Rose and Blanche just had to suffer basically in jail all night long.
Yeah, because of this weird little
Can you imagine?
rift. Yeah, and I love, and like again, I love talking about these ladies as like the brilliant actresses that they are, and I freaking love the interplay of that moment when they walk in all frustrated, and Rue McClanahan, props, brilliant comedic actress, like. We you know, a lot of people remember her as just like playing the slut, but her timing and delivery of the line,
so good,
because the justice system in America is a sluggish and antiquated piece of machinery, or whatever that line is, and then to go from that to Rose being like, "We were in the slammer."
She's not wrong.
It's just really good pair of lines from these two actresses who I just think are so damn brilliant. And yeah, I just had to call that out.
I wanted to know in this scene, if you were Blanche and Rose, I feel like I would have been angry at Dorothy and Sophia.
Yeah, they let it slide really quickly.
And I feel like I would have been angry.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it was like, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't think they can be really angry necessarily at Dorothy for having a night out and having fun.
No.
But Sophia,
they can.
Can I also say that I certainly, like, I noticed that Sophia doesn't get, like, the wrath from the three of them that, like, the three of them give each other. They get mad at her sometimes, and they'll call her, you know, like, you know, a withered prune or whatever Dorothy calls her sometimes when she's upset. But, like, I don't, for some of the stuff that Sophia does, and a lot of it is kind of awful, she does not, like, they don't get that mad at her.
No,
and I think that,
well, and I think we know why in this scene. I think we learn why they don't get mad at her is because she's right. Like, she knows she's right, and they all know that she's right. And eventually they talk about how she's amazing at holding guilt over Dorothy. But even in the moment where she says, "Look me in the eye and tell me this is okay with you, that you're okay with this," Dorothy can't do it because both eyes, because she knows she's right, that this isn't the kind of thing that Dorothy can handle. Now, I wanted to know, do you think Sophia's right that this is something that Dorothy probably couldn't handle, but that maybe Blanche or something could handle? Like, she probably wouldn't be as mad with Blanche about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she has a point, and this is going back to what I was saying about how I think maybe the point she's making is because ultimately what Dorothy really wants is a husband, and that sport nookie can be distracting. I still don't agree with it, but I'm also a gay man living in 2024, so maybe my perception is a little different. But I think that it was, you know, again, like, one of the slider episodes, still a good one. And I think that, that, you know, a lot of these episodes, they have to, like, give us a full plot in 24 minutes and wrap it up in a bow. So, of course, the you know, before we reach the amazing finale of this episode, which is also ridiculous, but, like, we had to have a reason for Dorothy. We had to have a reason for Dorothy to say, "Okay, I'll end it. Like, we've got to wrap this story up."
Yeah.
And you're right. I do feel guilty about it.
But what's so great about it is I think it shows sort of like who these characters are deep down, which I kind of love, because even when they realize towards the end, well, let's just move on to the end. Now, before we get to the very, very end, we should just say that the girls come over, they basically try to extort money from Blanche, and Blanche illegally writes a bad check knowingly writes a bad check, which is illegal to these girls to go cash, which I'm a little worried for Blanche here. I feel like she might be arrested again, and she already has a court date because of these girls. She doesn't need to be writing bad checks. This is not the time.
I didn't even think of that.
Whatever.
I didn't even think of the legality of that situation.
Girl,
I was just like, yeah, fuck those girls. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I say the F word?
No, don't. No, you can say the F word. You can say anything you want. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I was definitely thinking of Blanche's safety in this. She has to go to court, and then they're going to add on another charge. I can't. I'm very worried for Blanche here. But regardless of that, at the end of the episode, Dorothy is going to tell Eddie. She's going to break it off with Eddie. Eddie comes over, and there's this whole moment where Eddie basically he knows the jig. He knows the jig is up. Because he's been dealing with this his whole life. He has always experienced people finding him attractive and women finding him attractive and wanting to like be with him, and that his pheromones smells sort of like a. And basically, we go through each character, each person, each woman tries to break up with Eddie, basically, kind of, for Dorothy. And Dorothy can't do it. Blanche can't do it. Rose can't do it. The porterhouse steak scent is just too much, and they're very turned on by this, and they're all horny.
You should smell him when he sweats.
As someone who is... I want to know, as someone who works in the industry of attraction, if you will, do you deal... can you relate to Eddie in this situation in your line of work, of people maybe at the bar being like, oh, I've watched some of your videos and they're very attracted to you, and then they get weird?
Sometimes, yeah. I've certainly experienced versions of that. I've never had to beat men off with a stick the way that he had to beat these girls off with a stick, but yeah, I've certainly seen people, not even necessarily toward me, but toward others who are conventionally attractive gentlemen who,
yeah,
and I'm going to say I've been in the other position as well, where I almost don't know how to act around someone that I am like deeply attracted to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw that face. I'm human too, mister. Good Lord.
You know what I'm really looking forward to doing someday with you now?
Tell me.
Looking forward to someday being at a party with you, probably at one of your parties. I'll be dressed as Sadie, of course, and I'll have a stick, and it'll be me, you, and our good friend DJ John Claff. And as men approach both you and John, I will be like hitting them off with sticks, being like, "Those are my dicks. Those are my dicks." Just like hitting them off with the stick. I think I might have a great idea there, don't you?
I love it. This could at least make a fun photo. But the thing that I love about this final scene, one of the things, I mean, I love the whole thing, but I love Blanche's calling out of his scent, because I feel like I was like, oh, there must have been a gay man in the writer's room that day, because
there probably wasn't. That's
really?
the surprising thing about the Golden Girls. Were
there never gay writers?
In the first season there was, and no, there was. In the first season there were two writers, and they were kind of closeted, and then in the later seasons there was a few, but for the most part it was straight men.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Surprising, I know.
Straight men?
But there was also straight men. I know. It was the 80s, things were different. Like the world was different. But yet I do think a lot of that, they probably worked off the essence of who Rue McClanahan was as an actress, because she is someone who could build up the scent profile of a man to make it really hot and horny. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
she could definitely work that angle in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it's great. I love that scene. I love those lines. And as someone who is a big smell person himself, I actually
there's a certain.
Did I tell you that I wrote in my... So for those of you who don't know, I'll go ahead and say that I went to, before I started doing adult films, I went to school for LGBT psychology, and it's like a big graduate program. And one of in my human sexuality class, I wrote a final paper on scent. And It was amazing. The incident that prompted me writing this paper was actually like a moment that I had with a friend who I smelled his armpit and I fell into it, and it was amazing. But me bringing up the paper at the end of the semester, it prompted like an hour of discussion. Everybody has stories with smell. Yeah, it was very, very fascinating.
Interesting.
There was even an older woman who talked about how her daughter, when her daughter's husband went off to, when he was deployed, he left a shirt behind for her to sleep with. And I thought that was so sweet. And so I totally get the smell thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like body smell
thing. I mean, I don't have a body smell thing. I definitely do not. That is not me at all. I definitely am more of like I need the Gucci perfume, please spray it on me. But I do have a story about when I was a little kid. My parents were separated. My dad had custody of us, and my mom was bringing us back to live with my dad at that point. And I was really sad because I wanted to live with my mom. And I had my mom on the way there. She had bought me these the lifesaver gummies used to come in like little hard packages, like a small little individual ones. I don't really know. And I ate it, of course, in the car right there. And then I would keep the package with me at my desk at school so I could smell it and remember my mom.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, smell is super powerful.
Sweet. Yeah, smell is definitely a powerful thing. Well, okay, so at the end of this episode, basically Eddie says I'm a sex machine, I'm a love machine, women can't, it's just it's my burden in life. And as he's leaving, Sophia comes and basically has this tiny little moment with Eddie and then jumps on him. Yeah. I was shocked that Sophia, Estelle Getty, literally jumped on a man. I did not. That's the most physicality she has done on this series ever.
Yeah. I feel like that was where, I mean, it's a funny moment, of course, just because you get to see Estelle Getty do that. But yeah. It's so absurd. They're like, we're gonna end this episode with an exclamation point, and that exclamation point is going to be literally Estelle Getty jumping into this man's arms.
And
so funny, so silly.
1,000% here for it. 1,000% here for it. Okay, well, we're gonna take a little break, and then we're gonna come back with our golden takeaways from this episode. So we'll be right back. A golden takeaway time. Yes, we are back. A golden takeaway is a nugget of truth or inspiration that you can apply to your life or the lives of our listeners. Now, Adam, I will start because you are a guest here and I don't want to put the pressure on you to think of something right off the top of your head. So here we go. My golden takeaway from this episode is I want to someday walk into a room and have every single man immediately want to jump me, but not in like a threatening, scary way, in like a you're so beautiful way. And I feel like I am literally plotting a Sadie video someday. I feel like in my head right now, because of this episode, I am plotting a future Sadie video where men just can't get enough of me, but I'm too busy for them. I'm just again, it's the stick with you and John. I'm just like, get off me, I'm too busy. You know what I mean? That's gonna be my golden takeaway is I'm manifesting this to happen someday. You will see it, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me.
I support this very much. I see, like, here's how I picture it when you were describing it. We're going to start on your face, and as you're walking towards the camera in very slow motion, we kind of back away, and you just see, like, men all just, like, turning and looking at you and just amazed and in love. And you're just walking like you couldn't be bothered.
Even funnier, the close-up is on me, right? The close-up's on me, and then all of a sudden it does close-ups of all the men being like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? And then it cuts to wide, and all of the men have dropped their pants, and you just see a sea of butts.
Oh, so this is just going to be your fantasy video. Let's throw everything in there.
Yeah, it'll be funny.
More of that. More of that. That's a good golden takeaway. Okay. That was not where I expected you to take that.
Thank you.
Yeah, good one.
Thank you. Adam, what's your golden takeaway?
My golden takeaway. There was a few of them. I don't love guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have been trying to find a way to subvert that in my life, because sometimes we make ourselves feel guilty. Essentially, what Sophia did was call out the fact that Dorothy was feeling guilty on her own.
Yes.
And she kind of used her weird powers. And one of my other favorite lines, by the way, is sometimes she didn't even need the surgery.
I know.
And then Blanche goes, "That's guilt."
That's also. It's so true.
Yeah,
so true.
So trying to work through that sometimes, but also like my other golden takeaway is, and I'm just going to admit this to you right now. I've had a week full of sport nookie. It's been sport nookie heavy. You know, sometimes we go through dry spells, and sometimes we have like busy weeks.
Yeah,
I've had a busy week, so it was kind of fun to end that week with watching this episode. And
that's lovely. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I love it. I'm very grateful to be at an age where I can enjoy sport nookie still, healthily and responsibly. And I support that for all people of all ages. So good on you, Dorothy.
I do too. That's wonderful. And I will be the friend texting you being like, send me a pic. Adam, this is fantastic. You are fantastic. Where can people find you on the internet, find your podcast? Tell us a little bit about your podcast too before you go.
Oh yeah, my podcast is called Sorry for Asking. And you can find it on everything is tied to my Instagram. I guess you could just go to my website, adamramzi.com, ADAMRAMZI.com. There's links to everything there. My podcast, Sorry for Asking, I do it with my friend Cole Connor. We talk about basically the creation and consumption of adult content and how it has affected us as queer people. And Mr. HAlanScott was
Thank you.
You were our first ever guest because you were kind of our podcast mentor. So it made sense that you, if you want to, we would love to have you back. We miss you.
Please, you let me know. I will be there any day, anytime.
Good. Yeah, thank you so much for having me back
I should come
here.
as Sadie. I should come as Sadie on the podcast. That would be fun. Yes, I'll do that.
Yeah,
I'll definitely do that.
If you don't mind being in full face and wig during a recording.
I don't. For anything for you too. Anything for you too.
Oh,
well, Adam, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Hi guys, I'm back. Did you miss me? I missed you.
You were so missed, and I need a golden takeaway from you.
I will have a golden takeaway. I didn't plan one, but I will say that my golden takeaway is the moment at the end of this episode where Sophia jumps on Eddie and he kind of carries her out the door. I wish we had more of those like physical gag comedy moments from Estelle Getty because she's so tiny and the way her legs like stick out is just it's very cute because she's just such a tiny little person. I wish there was more of that.
I agree. And the closest we ever got to that is when she jumped off Blanche's her old Blanche's old home, and she jumped off the balcony.
The dummy came down past the window.
I think of all the times. That wasn't a dummy. That was Estelle Getty. Don't you know?
Oh yes, of course, Estelle Getty, light as a dummy. It's like B. Arthur falling on beds or fainting onto the floor. They did that quite a bit because she was so tall and towering.
Yeah.
I want to see more of Sophia jumping. Even the way she jumps when they get excited for Burt Reynolds tickets and she's holding the little watering can.
Yes.
It's so funny to see her do those
I just love when they do the flashbacks and we see Sophia walking normally. Because Sophia, as an older person, does that sort of like a little waddle sort of thing, but when she's younger, she actually just has like a normal walk, which I love seeing.
Right, and by normal, you just mean she's
walking like an adult person,
like a younger adult versus like what happens when your body gets a little bit older and you shrink and all that stuff.
Like how I walk now.
Exactly.
Hi,
Waddle, 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 waddle. Well, everyone, this has been another episode of Out on the Lanai, and we hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to check out the GG VIP Club, you can head on over to patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast, where you can get tons of bonus content, weekly Rusty Anchor happy hour episodes. You can get exclusive interviews with Golden Girls cast, crew, live watch-alongs. There's so much fun stuff. And there's some free content on there too. So head on over just to find out what our favorite Golden Girls toys and games are.
Yeah, I love it. And guys, remember, we're part of Mom Moguls of Media, where you can, see all the great things that Mom's doing. And go subscribe to Mom Plus. And you can follow us on social media at Golden Girls Pod on Twitter, Out on the Lanai Official on Instagram, Golden Girls Pod on the face pages, and I am HAlanScott /Sadie Pines on most things.
And I am Squidzy on Instagram and SquidEatSquid on Twitter. And you can also give us a rating and review wherever you get this podcast.
We were talking about B. Arthur's facelift the other day. Okay. Barrett from So Good We Named It is going to be on You're Making It Worse. And Barrett on this, I guess, the episode this week. So go listen to that. But we were talking about B. Arthur's facelift on You're Making It Worse and how much I want a facelift.
Oh my gosh. I love Barrett and Kay. They're so great. That is,
I do too.
You guys have to listen to their podcast if you don't already.
What do you think, guys? What do you think?
So Good We Named It. That looks really, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just do this.
Okay, just
like
do
this.
that. There you go. You
And
have to be watching the video. As always.
Go to YouTube, watch us. And remember, as always, stay
golden. You really do look like you have a facelift right now. That's lovely.
Thank you.
Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.